Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where people are often valued by their looks, status, or wealth, I want to ask you a deeper question today. What is the true value of a woman? Is it in how she appears, in what she owns, or in how society labels her? Or is it in the strength, grace, and wisdom that she silently carries within? Today, let's uncover the truth, because the real value of a woman goes far beyond what the eye can see. A woman's value is not in her appearance, but in her character and integrity. Society often teaches us to measure worth by what can be seen with the eyes, the way someone looks, the clothes they wear, the charm they display, or the impression they create at first glance. But true value, my dear friends, is never found on the surface. Diamonds are hidden deep within the earth, pearls are found in the depths of the ocean, and gold must be refined through fire. Similarly, the true value of a woman is not defined by the external, but by the internal, by her character, her morals, her principles, and the way she chooses to live her life, even when no one is watching. When a woman builds her foundation on integrity, she becomes unshakable in a world that constantly tries to define her by temporary measures. Beauty may fade with time, trends may change every season, but integrity and good character are timeless treasures that only grow more powerful with age. Think about it. What makes a person truly admirable? Is it the perfection of their features or the purity of their heart? A woman who chooses honesty over deception, humility over pride, and kindness over cruelty carries a beauty that never grows old. Character is what allows a woman to stand tall, even in the face of challenges. While appearance might gain her attention for a moment, it is her integrity that earns her respect for a lifetime. People may forget how she looked, but they will never forget how she treated them, how she inspired them, and how she stood firm for her values even when it was inconvenient. Integrity means being true to yourself and to others, refusing to compromise on principles just for approval or applause. It means walking the path of righteousness even when it is lonely, because you know that real worth is never dependent on the crowd. The world needs women of character more than it needs women of charm, because charm can attract, but it cannot sustain, while character not only sustains, but also uplifts everyone around. When a woman embodies integrity, she becomes a source of trust, a pillar of stability, and a beacon of light for her family, her friends, and her community. Her value cannot be bought, measured, or diminished, because it rests not on what she possesses, but on who she is. So, the true high value of a woman begins where the world often forgets to look: deep within her heart, in the quiet choices she makes, in the principles she refuses to abandon, and in the integrity with which she lives her life. That is a beauty far greater than any appearance, a treasure more lasting than any possession, and a value that time itself cannot erase. She carries the power to nurture life, dreams, and hope in others. The essence of a woman is deeply connected to her ability to give, to create, and to cultivate. It begins with the most profound gift, the power to bring life into this world. But nurturing does not end with birth, it extends far beyond. A woman nurtures not only the body but also the soul. She nourishes minds with encouragement, hearts with love, and spirits with hope. When she steps into someone's life, she leaves behind not just memories, but imprints of care, compassion, and inspiration that often last a lifetime. From the earliest stages of life, it is often a woman who teaches us how to walk, how to speak, and how to see the world through eyes of kindness. But even as we grow, her nurturing does not cease, it evolves. She becomes the silent strength behind the dreams of her children, the constant encouragement behind her partner's struggles, and often the unseen hand that steadies the community when it begins to fall apart. A nurturing woman does not simply provide, she plants seeds of belief in people's hearts, seeds that one day grow into forests of confidence, purpose, and resilience. The world sometimes misunderstands nurturing as a sign of weakness, as if giving to others takes away from one's own power. But in truth, nurturing is the highest form of strength. It requires patience when others lose hope, faith when others give up, and selflessness when others think only of themselves. Imagine a world without this quality, without the mother who believes in her child's ability to succeed, without the teacher who encourages her students to reach higher, without the sister or friend who whispers words of comfort when failure strikes. Life would feel empty, cold, and disconnected. It is the nurturing heart of a woman that makes the human story warm and meaningful. Dreams are fragile in their early stages, like small flames that can be extinguished by the winds of doubt and fear. But a woman of value nurtures those dreams with gentle encouragement and persistent support. She whispers, "You can do it," when the world says, "You are not enough." She sees the potential hidden beneath the surface and waters it until it blossoms into greatness. History is full of examples where the quiet strength of a woman gave rise to leaders, innovators, and visionaries who changed the course of the world. Behind their success stories stood women who believed in them, nurtured them, and reminded them of their worth. Hope, too, finds its strongest foundation in the nurturing nature of a woman. When circumstances are dark, when everything seems to fall apart, it is often a woman's voice that restores faith and rekindles light. She has the rare ability to see beyond the storm and remind others that even the longest night will end and the sun will rise again. This power to nurture hope is not loud or forceful. It is gentle, consistent, and deeply transformative. Therefore, the value of a woman is not only in what she achieves for herself, but also in what she inspires and nurtures in others. She does not simply exist for her own sake. She exists as a channel of growth for the world around her. Every person she touches, every dream she waters, every flicker of hope she strengthens, these are the true reflections of her priceless value. To nurture life, dreams, and hope is not just an ability, it is a divine gift entrusted to women, a gift that makes them irreplaceable in the story of humanity. Her true beauty shines through kindness, compassion, and wisdom. In a society where beauty is so often reduced to the symmetry of a face, the shape of a body, or the shade of skin, it is easy to forget that physical beauty is fragile and temporary. Time, age, and circumstances inevitably change appearances. But there is a form of beauty that never fades, a radiance that grows brighter with every act of selflessness and every choice rooted in goodness. This is the beauty that comes from within, the beauty that expresses itself through kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Kindness is the fragrance that lingers long after a person has left the room. A woman who treats others with gentleness, even when the world has not been gentle with her, carries an aura that no outward adornment can match. Her words heal wounds that cannot be seen, and her actions restore faith in humanity in ways that money or glamour never could. When she chooses to be kind even in situations where anger or indifference would be easier, she reflects a strength far greater than physical power. This kindness becomes her silent crown, drawing people toward her not because of what she looks like, but because of how she makes them feel. Compassion deepens this beauty even more. Compassion means feeling the pain of others as if it were your own, and offering comfort, guidance, or support without expecting anything in return. A compassionate woman does not just sympathize, she empathizes. She listens with her heart, she sees beyond appearances, and she reaches out where others walk away. In times of struggle, her presence becomes a safe place. She uplifts the broken, she strengthens the weary, and she gives hope to those who feel invisible. There is nothing more beautiful than a heart that carries the burdens of others while still radiating love and warmth. Wisdom adds yet another dimension to this timeless beauty. True wisdom is not about having all the answers, but about understanding life in a deeper, more meaningful way. A wise woman knows when to speak and when to remain silent, when to act and when to wait. She guides others not with pride, but with humility, and she leads not through dominance, but through example. Wisdom teaches her that life is not about competing or comparing, but about growing, learning, and helping others rise. Her beauty shines because she sees the bigger picture and reminds others of what truly matters when the noise of the world tries to distract them. When kindness, compassion, and wisdom come together in a woman, she becomes a light in the lives of everyone she encounters. People may forget the details of her appearance, but they will never forget the warmth of her kindness, the comfort of her compassion, and the clarity of her wisdom. That is why her true beauty cannot be taken away by age, cannot be diminished by society's changing standards, and cannot be overshadowed by anyone else's presence. It is eternal, unshakable, and divine. This kind of beauty is what leaves a legacy long after the physical form fades. The memories of a woman's inner beauty continue to inspire generations. Children will repeat her words, communities will cherish her impact, and souls will carry her lessons forward. Such beauty is priceless because it cannot be bought, cannot be manufactured, and cannot be imitated. It flows naturally from a heart that chooses love over hate, giving over taking, and truth over pretension. This is the true high value of a woman, beauty that does not fade with time, but only becomes more radiant with every passing day. A high value woman sets standards, not just for herself, but inspires them in others. The strength of her worth lies in the boundaries she creates and the principles she refuses to compromise. Even when the world pressures her otherwise, she understands that setting standards is not about pride or arrogance, but about recognizing her dignity and honoring the value God has placed within her. She does not accept treatment that diminishes her, nor does she settle for relationships, environments, or opportunities that require her to betray her core values. Instead, she becomes a living example of what it means to live with self-respect, teaching others silently through her choices what is acceptable and what is not. When a woman holds herself to high standards, people around her are forced to reevaluate their own behavior. Her friends, her family, her colleagues, even strangers, everyone who encounters her begins to realize that if she respects herself enough to live with integrity and discipline, then they too must rise to treat her with respect. She does not demand it through loud declarations. Her actions, her decisions, and her boundaries speak louder than words. She inspires men to become more honorable, women to become more confident, and communities to embrace values that uphold dignity and fairness. Standards are not about perfection, but about direction. A high-value woman may make mistakes like anyone else, but her commitment to learn from them and never compromise her principles is what makes her different. She sets standards in her relationships, knowing that love should be rooted in respect, trust, and growth, not in dependency or control. She sets standards in her career or calling, knowing that her contributions should align with her purpose, not merely with the lure of money or recognition. She sets standards in her personal life, choosing to cultivate habits of discipline, gratitude, and kindness instead of wasting her time on shallow pursuits. These standards may sometimes make her appear strict or hard to please, but in reality, they protect her from being undervalued, and they set the tone for everyone who wishes to be a part of her life. The power of a woman's standards lies in their ripple effect. When she shows others that she will not tolerate dishonesty, those around her learn the importance of truth. When she demonstrates that she values her time, others are careful not to waste it. When she chooses only relationships that uplift and inspire, those around her realize the emptiness of toxic connections. Her standards become a silent teacher, raising the quality of interactions wherever she goes. People begin to admire her not only for who she is, but also for the higher version of themselves she awakens within them. In a world where so many are quick to compromise just to be accepted, a woman who sets standards becomes rare and invaluable. She does not live to please everyone, and she does not lower her worth to fit in. Instead, she rises above, and by doing so, she gives others permission to rise as well. This is her quiet power, the ability to transform environments not through force, but through the example of her life. Such a woman does not wait for society to define her value. She defines it herself through the principles she lives by. She knows that the moment she compromises her standards, she diminishes her own light. But by holding firm, she shines brighter and illuminates the path for others to follow. And this is where her true value lies, not just in setting standards for her own life, but in awakening the same sense of worth, strength, and discipline in everyone who crosses her path. She balances strength and gentleness, showing that power and grace can coexist. Too often, the world tries to put women into narrow boxes. Either she must be strong and independent, or she must be gentle and nurturing. But the truth is that the highest value of a woman is seen when she embodies both. When her strength does not rob her of her gentleness, and her gentleness does not weaken her strength. This balance is not easy, but it is what makes her presence so impactful and her essence so rare. Strength in a woman is not just the ability to endure hardships, but the courage to face them without losing her identity. It is her resilience in moments of pain, her determination in the face of obstacles, and her refusal to be broken by the storms of life. Strength is not loud or boastful. It is quiet, steady, and unwavering. It is the kind of strength that allows her to pick herself up after every fall, to keep moving forward when the road is dark, and to continue believing in hope when everything around her screams despair. This strength makes her unshakable, and it gives those around her the courage to stand tall as well. But alongside this strength is a gentleness that softens the world and brings balance where harshness dominates. Gentleness is not weakness, it is controlled strength. It is the ability to respond with kindness, even when provoked, to show patience even when tested, and to offer love even when surrounded by indifference. Gentleness is what makes her approachable, what makes her presence feel like a safe harbor in a world full of storms. While strength may earn her respect, it is her gentleness that earns her love, loyalty, and trust. The true high value of a woman lies in her ability to weave these two qualities together seamlessly. She can fight fiercely for what is right and yet console tenderly those who are hurting. She can lead with authority and yet listen with compassion. She can hold her boundaries firmly and yet forgive with a soft heart. This coexistence of power and grace is what makes her presence transformative, because she is neither hardened by her strength nor diminished by her softness. She proves that to be strong is not to lose one's gentleness, and to be gentle is not to surrender one's power. History and everyday life give us countless examples of women who have carried this balance. From mothers who work tirelessly to provide for their children, yet still sing them to sleep with tenderness, to leaders who make bold decisions but do so with compassion for the people they serve. These women embody the harmony of strength and gentleness. Their lives remind us that humanity does not thrive on dominance or submission alone, but on the balance between firmness and love, justice and mercy, courage and kindness. When a woman lives this balance, she becomes a mirror to everyone around her. She teaches men that strength need not be harshness, and she teaches women that gentleness need not mean weakness. She sets a higher example of what it means to be powerful and graceful at the same time. In her presence, others feel both safe and inspired, both protected and uplifted. This is why she is deeply valued, not for being one extreme or the other, but for carrying both extremes in harmony within herself. This balance of strength and gentleness is what allows a woman to build, to heal, to inspire, and to transform. She is like a river, strong enough to carve valleys through mountains, yet gentle enough to nourish life along its banks. Her value is immeasurable because she reminds the world that the greatest power is not in force alone, and the greatest beauty is not in softness alone, but in the blending of the two. Her emotional intelligence creates harmony in relationships and communities. A woman of high value understands that true connection is not built only on words or appearances, but on the ability to perceive, understand, and respond to emotions, both her own and those of others. Emotional intelligence is her quiet strength, a quality that allows her to navigate the complexities of human interaction with wisdom, sensitivity, and balance. While many people chase after intellectual brilliance or external achievements, she realizes that without emotional awareness, those things cannot sustain meaningful relationships or long-term fulfillment. Emotional intelligence gives her the power to remain calm in the face of conflict. Instead of reacting impulsively to anger or provocation, she pauses, reflects, and chooses her response carefully. She does not allow temporary emotions to destroy permanent relationships. In moments of tension, she becomes the voice of reason, the calm in the storm, the anchor that prevents everything from falling apart. People are drawn to her because they feel understood, not judged. They feel safe sharing their struggles with her, knowing that she will not dismiss their pain but will listen with genuine care. This ability to listen with empathy is one of her greatest gifts, because most people do not want quick solutions. They want to be heard, to be valued, to be seen. Her emotional intelligence also allows her to build bridges where walls have been raised. She understands that every person carries wounds, insecurities, and fears that influence their behavior. Instead of taking things personally, she looks deeper, asking herself why someone might be acting the way they are. This perspective gives her patience, and patience gives her influence. In a world where misunderstandings easily escalate into broken relationships, she becomes a peacemaker, showing that compassion can resolve what pride often destroys. She knows when to speak truth firmly and when to wrap that truth in gentleness so that it heals rather than harms. In her family, her emotional intelligence becomes the glue that holds everyone together. She notices what is unspoken, the sadness behind a smile, the fear hidden in silence, the stress disguised as anger. She addresses not only what is said, but also what is felt. Her ability to connect emotionally creates an environment where love can thrive, because love is not only about words, but about deep understanding. She teaches her children how to manage their emotions, not by lectures, but by living the example of patience, self-control, and empathy. She strengthens her partner by offering both comfort and challenge. Comfort when they feel weak, and challenge when they settle for less than their potential. In the broader community, her emotional intelligence has an equally powerful impact. She can unite people of different backgrounds, beliefs, and temperaments because she knows how to respect differences while finding common ground. She values dialogue over division and understanding over assumption. When others rush to judge, she pauses to consider. When others fight to win arguments, she seeks to win hearts. This makes her influence far-reaching because communities do not thrive on knowledge alone. They thrive on compassion, trust, and cooperation. Her high value lies in the fact that she does not allow emotions to control her, but she does not ignore them either. She acknowledges her feelings, understands them, and uses them as a compass rather than a chain. She knows that unexpressed anger can become poison, but wisely expressed anger can become fuel for justice. She knows that sadness can break a spirit, but shared sadness can deepen bonds. She knows that joy is not just to be felt privately, but multiplied by sharing it with others. Through emotional intelligence, she becomes both strong and approachable, wise and compassionate, firm and gentle. She is able to influence without force, to heal without medicine, to guide without domination. People who encounter her leave with a sense of peace, because her presence harmonizes what was once chaotic. She does not just create balance in her own life, she brings balance into the lives of those around her. And that, perhaps, is one of the greatest marks of her value, her ability to create harmony in a world that so often leans toward conflict and disconnection. She does not seek validation from society, she knows her worth from within. One of the most powerful qualities of a high value woman is that she does not live her life like a mirror, only reflecting back what the world projects onto her. Instead, she lives like a light, shining from within, independent of how others see her. In a culture that constantly bombards women with images, comparisons, and expectations, telling them how to look, how to act, and even how to feel, her strength lies in not surrendering her self-worth to those shallow judgments. She understands that external validation is fleeting, unreliable, and ever changing, but the worth that comes from within is permanent, steady, and deeply rooted. She does not measure her value by the number of compliments she receives, the attention she gathers, or the approval she gains. Compliments are nice, attention can feel flattering, but none of them define her. She knows that if she builds her identity on what society says today, tomorrow she will crumble when that same society changes its opinion. True freedom is living from a place of inner conviction rather than outer applause, and that is the freedom she embodies. She does not wear confidence like a mask, she carries it as her natural skin. Her self-worth comes from understanding her divine identity and purpose. She sees herself not as a product of society's expectations, but as a creation with inherent dignity and value. This awareness allows her to walk into any room without needing to prove herself, because she already knows who she is. Whether people notice her or ignore her, praise her or criticize her, she remains steady. She understands that external opinions, both positive and negative, say more about the people giving them than about her true essence. This independence from validation makes her unshakable in her decisions. She chooses relationships not because she fears loneliness, but because she values genuine connection. She pursues her goals not to impress others, but because they align with her values and dreams. She carries herself with dignity in public and in private, because her worth does not depend on whether or not someone is watching. This integrity gives her peace of mind, and peace of mind is a luxury many people never achieve because they are constantly chasing approval they will never fully satisfy. Ironically, because she does not seek validation, she ends up earning deeper respect. People can sense authenticity. They can tell when someone is not pretending or performing. Her authenticity becomes magnetic, drawing others to her without her having to beg for attention. She does not manipulate to be liked, nor does she shrink to be accepted. She simply stands in her truth, and that inspires others to find their own. In this way, she becomes a silent teacher, showing the world that real value comes from within, not from applause. There is immense strength in a woman who can stand alone with her convictions when the crowd is going in another direction. She is not rebellious for the sake of rebellion, but she is firm because she refuses to betray herself. This strength allows her to say no when needed, to walk away from toxic environments, and to refuse opportunities that compromise her values. It takes courage to reject what looks glamorous in order to protect what is truly valuable. That courage comes only from someone who does not need the world's approval to feel complete. Her worth from within radiates in the way she treats herself. She invests in her growth, her learning, and her spiritual connection because she knows she is worth that investment. She cares for her mind, body, and sold not out of insecurity, but out of respect for the treasure she carries within. This self respect sets the standard for how others treat her, because the world often treats us the way we first treat ourselves. By valuing herself, she teaches others how to value her as well. Ultimately, a high value woman knows that validation from society is like building a house on sand. It will not withstand storms, but when she builds her self-worth on the rock of inner conviction, no criticism, no rejection, and no comparison can shake her. Her value is unshakable because it comes from a source that does not change. She does not wait for the world to tell her she is worthy. She lives as if she already knows, because deep down she does. And that is why her presence is so powerful. She reminds others that true worth is not given by society, it is discovered within. A woman of value invests in self-growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. She understands that her worth does not just lie in what she is today, but in who she is constantly becoming. Life is a journey, and she treats every experience, every challenge, and every season as an opportunity to grow. Instead of settling into comfort zones, she pushes herself to evolve, because she knows that stagnation is the enemy of true fulfillment. Her growth is not only for herself, but also for the people she touches. Because when she rises, she lifts others with her. Mentally, she invests in knowledge and wisdom. She reads, she learns, she seeks to understand the world, and she sharpens her mind so she can contribute meaningfully to conversations, decisions, and the lives of those around her. She does not confine herself to shallow distractions or waste her energy on gossip, comparison, or negativity. Instead, she hungers for understanding, for clarity, for truths that strengthen her intellect. She knows that an intelligent mind, guided by wisdom, can open doors that beauty and charm alone could never sustain. She does not just aim to be admired, she aims to be impactful, and that requires constant learning. Emotionally, she works on mastering herself. She does not allow her emotions to control her life, nor does she suppress them until they destroy her. She learns to recognize, process, and express them in ways that create healing rather than harm. Through patience, forgiveness, empathy, and resilience, she cultivates emotional maturity. She does not let anger dictate her words, nor fear dictate her choices. She learns to love without losing herself, to stand firm without becoming harsh, and to embrace vulnerability without becoming fragile. This emotional growth allows her to nurture deeper relationships and to create peace in a world that thrives on chaos. Spiritually, she seeks connection with something higher than herself. She understands that without grounding in faith, her growth would remain incomplete. Her spirituality gives her purpose, reminding her that life is more than accomplishments and possessions. It teaches her humility in success and strength in failure. It reminds her that her value comes not from the temporary labels of society, but from the eternal truth of her divine identity. Whether through prayer, meditation, reflection, or service, she nourishes her soul, and this nourishment becomes the source of her inner radiance. What makes her growth so powerful is that it is intentional. She does not wait for life to shape her by accident. She chooses to shape herself with discipline and self-awareness. She invests time in her growth because she knows the woman she is becoming will impact not only her future, but also the future of those who depend on her strength. A mother who grows will raise children who grow. A leader who grows will build teams that grow. A woman who grows will inspire a community to rise higher. She also understands that growth requires humility, the humility to admit when she is wrong, the humility to ask questions, and the humility to seek help. She is not afraid of failure because she sees failure as a teacher, not an enemy. Every setback becomes a lesson, every mistake becomes a stepping stone, and every challenge becomes a chance to strengthen her resilience. She does not compare her growth with others because she knows that every journey is unique. Her competition is not with the world, but with the version of herself she was yesterday. This commitment to self-growth is what makes her value timeless. While external beauty may fade and possessions may be lost, the woman who invests in herself becomes more valuable with each passing day. Her wisdom deepens, her compassion expands, her strength multiplies, and her presence becomes richer. She is like a tree that continues to grow taller and stronger while providing shade, fruit, and shelter for others. Her growth is not selfish, it is a gift to the world. In the end, the true high value of a woman is not in staying the same but in becoming wiser, becoming stronger, becoming more compassionate, becoming more aligned with her purpose. She invests in her mind so she can think clearly, in her heart so she can love deeply, and in her spirit so she can live meaningfully. That ongoing growth is what makes her presence a blessing and her life a legacy. She uplifts others, knowing that true empowerment is not competition, but collaboration. A woman of high value understands that her greatness does not diminish when others rise. In fact, it shines even brighter when she becomes a reason for someone else's success. She does not see other women as threats or rivals, but as sisters in the same journey, each with her own unique strengths and gifts. She does not see men as opponents to outshine, but as partners in building a world where dignity, respect, and growth belong to everyone. She realizes that the mindset of me versus you is too small for a soul that is destined to make a lasting impact. So she chooses, instead, the higher path of lifting others while climbing herself. Her uplifting nature shows in the way she encourages, even when no one else does. When someone is doubting their worth, she reminds them of their value. When someone feels like giving up, she whispers hope into their heart. When someone stumbles, she extends her hand instead of pointing a finger. Empowerment for her is not about standing on a pedestal above others, but about creating a ladder so that more people can climb. She celebrates others' victories sincerely because she knows that someone else's success is not her failure. It is proof that success is possible for everyone, and it inspires her to keep moving forward too. She uplifts not only through words but through action. She shares knowledge without fear of losing her own position. She gives opportunities to others instead of hoarding them. And she mentors without expecting repayment. She knows that the real legacy of a woman is not just in what she achieves personally, but in how many lives she touches, how many doors she opens, and how many hearts she leaves stronger. This generosity of spirit is what sets her apart, because it shows that her confidence is rooted in abundance, not scarcity. Her strength lies in understanding that empowerment multiplies when it is shared. A woman who uplifts others creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond her immediate circle. The person she encourages today may go on to inspire hundreds tomorrow. The dream she protects in someone else's heart may one day blossom into an idea that transforms lives. By choosing collaboration over competition, she plants seeds of unity, respect, and progress that future generations will harvest. Uplifting others also requires humility because it means letting go of the need to always be in the spotlight. A high value woman is not afraid to cheer for others even when no one is cheering for her. She does not withhold encouragement out of jealousy, nor does she measure people's worth by what they can give back to her. Her kindness is genuine, her support unconditional. And because she uplifts with such sincerity, her presence becomes refreshing in a world where many are busy pulling others down just to climb higher themselves. This does not mean she allows herself to be taken advantage of. Uplifting others is not the same as depleting herself. She understands boundaries and knows that empowering others should never come at the cost of losing her own strength. She pours into others from a full cup, ensuring that her own growth, her own purpose, and her own peace are intact. By doing this, she models to the world that it is possible to give without being drained, to uplift without being diminished, and to love without losing oneself. Her value shines brightest because she knows that a rising tide lifts all boats. She is not afraid to be part of that tide, creating waves of empowerment that carry others forward with her. People who encounter her are left better than they were before, not because she gave them everything, but because she reminded them of what they already had within themselves. Her belief in others often becomes the spark that reignites their belief in themselves. This is what makes her influence so timeless. She does not only create personal success, she creates collective growth. She leaves footprints not just on her own path, but on the paths of countless others she has helped along the way. In her world, empowerment is not a competition to be the best, but a collaboration to bring out the best in everyone. And that truth, that empowerment is multiplied when shared, is the essence of her high value, the reason why her presence continues to inspire long after she is gone. Her true worth lies in her inner strength and grace, qualities that do not shout but quietly radiate through everything she does. In a world that often confuses loudness with confidence and aggression with power, a high-value woman embodies the kind of strength that is steady, calm, and unshakable. She does not need to dominate a room to be noticed. Her presence itself speaks, because it is built on dignity, self-awareness, and a deep sense of purpose. Her strength is not in overpowering others, but in mastering herself, her emotions, her reactions, and her choices. She shows that true power is not about control over people, but about control over oneself. This strength is not rigid or harsh, it is balanced by grace. Grace is what allows her to move through life with elegance, even when storms surround her. It is what helps her forgive when others would hold on to bitterness, to respond with kindness when met with cruelty, and to keep her composure when the world tries to shake her. Grace is not weakness, it is the highest form of strength, because it shows restraint, compassion, and wisdom all at once. Anyone can react in anger, but it takes true strength to respond with grace. Her inner strength allows her to face challenges without breaking. She may bend, but she does not collapse. Life may test her with disappointments, heartbreaks, and failures, but she rises from them with even more resilience. Instead of being defined by her struggles, she chooses to let them refine her. Her scars are not symbols of defeat, but of survival, lessons written on her soul that remind her of the battles she has fought and overcome. She knows that pain is inevitable, but growth is optional, and she always chooses growth. Her grace makes her approachable, warm, and comforting to those around her. People feel safe in her presence because they know she does not judge harshly, nor does she carry pride that pushes others away. Instead, she welcomes others with humility, listens deeply, and responds with wisdom. Her grace shows in her ability to balance firmness with compassion. She can say no without being rude, set boundaries without hostility, and guide others without belittling them. This rare balance of strength and gentleness is what makes her truly admirable. The beauty of her worth is that it cannot be taken away by time, circumstances, or opinions. External validation may come and go, but her inner strength and grace remain unshaken because they are rooted within her, not dependent on others. No amount of criticism can destroy her confidence, and no amount of praise can inflate her ego, because she knows who she is at her core. Her value is self-sustained, flowing from her character, her wisdom, and her faith. She becomes a role model not by trying to be one, but simply by living authentically. Younger women look at her and see an example of what it means to live with dignity. Men respect her not just for how she carries herself, but for the principles she refuses to compromise. Her children, family, friends, and community all feel the impact of her presence because she teaches by action, not just by words. In her quiet yet powerful way, she inspires others to rise to their own best selves. Her inner strength and grace also give her the courage to walk alone when necessary. She does not fear solitude because she knows that being alone does not mean being empty. It means being secure enough in her own company. She does not cling to unhealthy relationships, toxic environments, or societal pressures just to feel accepted. Instead, she trusts that her path will align with those who respect her value, and she has the strength to wait for the right people and opportunities without desperation. This is why her worth is immeasurable. Unlike external attributes that fade with time, her inner strength only grows deeper, and her grace only becomes more radiant as the years go by. She is not afraid of aging because her value does not diminish with the passing of years. It matures. Her wisdom becomes richer, her patience stronger, and her presence more impactful. The world may celebrate youth and beauty, but those who truly know her recognize that her worth far surpasses superficial measures. She is a reminder that the highest value of a woman does not lie in what she shows on the outside, but in the unseen treasures of her heart and soul. Her strength rooted in resilience and her grace flowing in kindness are the true jewels that define her. And when a woman walks with such inner strength and grace, she becomes timeless, an inspiration across generations, a force that cannot be diminished, and a reflection of the divine qualities of love, wisdom, and compassion that the world so desperately needs.